Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Mad Mamluks. I'm Mahin and I'm here with my co-hosts, Omer Zaman and Sim. And before introducing our guest today, I'd like to first of all acknowledge our guest co-host, Omer Zaman, who some of you may remember from a podcast we did about a year ago on Muslim. So, Omer, thanks for coming through. Just we're hanging out. Figure put him on the mic. Yeah, see how he does. Maybe he'll take my job.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm not that good. No,
me and Omar actually did the first episode together, and that turned out to be one of the most popular episodes that we had. It was literally the episode that put us on the map. And it's good to have you on, Omar.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you for having me. It's actually a pleasure to sit here with Shirazi. I found out he was coming. I was like, I need to come in the studio and see him myself, mashallah.
Well, I guess he kind of gave away the guest today. I was going to keep it a surprise, but
my bad.
It's all good.
They see it in the title of the podcast, so
they'll see it. For me, I joined the podcast with the Mad Mamluks about 10 episodes in. But before I came on as a host, I was a fan of the podcast, and to this day, my favorite podcast was the second episode, Relief Work in War Zones.
Yeah, mine too.
And I think for me, it's because, I used to tell people, you gotta listen to this podcast. Number one, it'll make you cry every time. And secondly, it'll make you realize, to me, to be very raw, is I'm a terrible Muslim. I'm not doing anything. But for me, that's like a motive. That's like a thing I need to do more. It depends how you address it, right? That's kind of my take on it. But without further ado, I'd like to welcome Shirazi back on the podcast. It's been a year, 60 episodes later, and just wanted to get an update on obviously what's going on in Syria. It's been a crazy week with the gas attacks, chemical warfare in Idlib, and then the United States deciding to with the Tomahawk missiles. I believe it was Thursday evening this week. So
yeah. Shirazi is he goes way back with us in terms of the Mad Mamluks, me and Sheikh Omer. He was a person that helped me become more Islamically inclined as a person. When I was in college, I've talked about this in previous episodes. I was a pretty big headbanger in terms of heavy metal music and that culture pretty well. And this is a funny thing about this guy is that when he was trying to pull me in and trying to get me more religiously inclined, I said, I won't hang out with you until you listen to my music. And this guy, may Allah reward him, he sat there patiently listening to blaring heavy metal music while we drove around. And he would, give me some nuggets of dawah and whatnot. And slowly, but surely, he kind of pulled me away from that scene and headed towards the right direction, or the good path, I should say. So, we're forever indebted to you. Don't ever think that I ever forget about those days and how you pulled me out of that. May Allah reward you.
Ameen.
جزاكم الله خير. First of all, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, salatu wassalamu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Brothers, wallah, jazakumullahu khairan. I don't know why you're saying what you're saying, but
he's a humble guy. He doesn't want to be put on the spotlight.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our efforts.
Ameen.
And then continue to use us to benefit this ummah and to be people who are sincere to the cause, sincere to Allah Azza wa Jal, and keep our hearts sincere to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's all we ask. Everybody, this is the favor from Allah Azza wa Jal. And that's all we can say, brother. Allah.
Yeah, but, back then it wasn't, we were very, and it's, to some extent to this day, we're still a very judgmental culture. People don't want to deal with headaches. And you sat patiently and you dealt with the headache known as Sim. Now, back then I had another name. But
yeah, I've heard the same thing. I'm not from Chicago, but I've heard it from a lot of brothers who grew up in Chicago that you were very influential in their lives early on. And I know in our earlier podcast with you, you talked about how your father set an example for your family. The whole story about going back to after Salatul Eid and the Bosnian conflict was going on and him giving you guys a reality check, keeping that perspective. And, I think a lot of brothers in Chicago then, alhamdulillah, are forever grateful to you for the impact you've been able to have on them.
Okay.
Jazakallah khair.
Shirazi's reaching for the dirt, writing, and wants to throw the dirt at our face. All
Right. So
let's keep it down now.
Let's talk about Syria. What's the I guess can you give us an update on what's been happening there from your vantage point?
Well, you talked about it just a few minutes ago. What's happening in Homs and Hama and Idlib area in general. The Syrian attack, the napalm bombs, and this morning we had napalm bomb attack from the same airport that supposedly Mr. Trump attacked and gave about 55 or so Tomahawk missiles and stuff like this. And I was talking to the doctors while this was happening. I'm constantly in contact with doctors in Idlib. I'm in contact with doctors in Jarablus, which is now it's a humanitarian zone, but it's controlled by the Turkish army. So a lot of the aid, it goes in through the Turkish Red Crescent.
Okay, so where is this at? Because right now the listeners have all heard about Idlib. It's all over the news. They want to know, paint a picture in their mind where all this is happening.
Okay, so there are from the Turkish, let's say from the borders, there are few major border cities. So the major one of them is Khillis, which is literally Al-Bab, which is eastern Aleppo border.
Okay.
So you have Al-Bab, and then you have Al-Azaz, Mari', and then you have Halab.
Right.
And every time I've actually entered inside Syria, I've gone to Syria, inside eastern Syria, especially eastern Halab, it's always used to be Khillis border. But then, there was a large-scale Turkish operation in this area now. Al-Bab is now under the Turkish control. Azaz, all of these areas are now under Turkish control. So, previously, before that, it was under ISIS.
Right.
So we could not go through that border.
Yeah.
It was a very dangerous border. There were too many operations going on. Operation Shield that was going on. What is that called? Operation something Shield that they named it. So last time when I was there, so this is one of the borders. I'll go into the details later. But,
right now,
one.
yeah. So the listeners have an idea of what the current situation is. Is that
this is the northern border?
The northern part is controlled by who right now? ISIS or is it?
No. Now the Khillis border is now controlled completely by Turkish. يعني كامل خلاص يعني كله تحت النظام التركي يعني completely pura all of it يعني is now under.
They've encroached the Syrian border and they've taken over those towns too. Is that what you're saying, or?
Yeah. So now the idea is to go through. Remember, when you go through Azaz, or what is called Al-Bab entrance.
Yeah.
From there, the Turks are trying to move closer to Raqqa.
Okay.
So this is
Raqqa is the capital city of ISIS.
Capital city of ISIS. So now they're trying to move from this area into from here to Azaz to this is through the Al-Bab border or entrance to Azaz all the way through Mari or whatever it is, all the way down to Raqqa area. So this is the fastest way to do it, from this way. So that's one of the borders. And and then the other. Last time I couldn't even show my face there because the way I look, many of you know, and they told me literally that they will shoot me because the situation was, the Turkish army was so nervous because of the constant operation. Last time, literally, they told me, please do not come to this border area because
the way he looks for the listeners is because he's Indian Pakistani origin. A lot of ISIS supporters are of that origin, so that's why they would shoot him.
The beard and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
He ain't got no 5 o'clock shadow like us sellouts.
Yeah. We sold that. Well,
I don't know what that means. I'm not saying anything, man. Brother keeps adding words. But
what year did we all sell out? Around 2005, 2007, was it?
I kept my longer beard until I had to get a job.
Okay.
So they told me, not to go to that area. And we have a lot of brothers that we work with. Organizations that are working, NGOs that are working, and we are very, I listen to them carefully. This is not a playground. This is not a joke. It literally can cost you your life. which we know already, but we are doing. There's a cause that we believe in, and that really doesn't matter to me. But you don't want to be stupid.
Right.
Second issue is also then there is Rehaniya, which is the Idlib border.
Okay.
It's Rehaniya this is the area that was actually given to the Turks by the French. So Rehaniya is actually Sham. It is Sham, but because when you are there, you can literally, it's like you see this window here. There's a window in front of me. And literally, the other side is Syria.
Okay.
So that's the Rehaniya border, which is the Idlib border, the Sarmada border, all of that. Then you have area which is what we call Jarablus, which is in the middle of both.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not really good with east, west, north, all of that, but Jarablus also used to be under ISIS.
Right.
But then they were removed from there also, and now the Turkish army is literally inside. It controls that whole area. The hospitals are under that control. And so the doctors go in, the Syrian doctors go in, the Turkish doctors go in, but all of the operations are under the Turkish army. So,
right.
And at the same time, I mean, no one can bomb in that area, for instance. The Russians cannot bomb, the Syrian army cannot bomb, so because it's Turkish army there.
Okay, so right now the northern part is controlled by Turkey, and has that made your job a lot easier? Because now you're coming in from Turkey, right? Maybe you can walk us through that process. What's involved in you bringing all these supplies to?
So to be able to go inside Syria, okay. So the border areas are, as I said earlier, they're very sensitive areas in general. Because even if you're working in Khillis, you're not immune to attacks. I mean, when we were there one time, I think a few days before I got there, there were 2 missile attacks. One missile, although this is Turkish area now, one missile fell on one of the hospitals, and the other one hit a school inside Turkey. But alhamdulillah, there were not that many casualties, or I think there were just a few injuries, things like that.
Were you nearby any of these attacks?
No, alhamdulillah, no. But when I went there, they showed me where the attacks happened, where the hospitals were. Alhamdulillah,
last time you were on the show, these attacks were like, you were in Aleppo, and these attacks were happening while you were.
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is.
There.
I mean, Aleppo was something else. Aleppo was. I mean, this is a war zone. This is not it's a war zone. There are barrel bombs falling. There's missiles falling. There's. So
is Idlib now the new Aleppo? Is that what we're looking at? Is it going to be a slow starvation of a whole entire city, or?
When you talk to the people there, people kind of give the idea that this is Gaza, the new Gaza. They might actually make this into literally the city. They might. The plan is to make it kind of like what Gaza is today. It's surrounded by the Israeli army, and there's nothing, and you cannot move right, left, or center. You cannot do anything without somebody else in control. So that's kind of that's how they talk about what Idlib is now. And of course, it seems to be, it could have been a plan. It seems to be that it was a plan that you push people out of eastern Syria, eastern Aleppo, into Idlib and move masses of population inside there, and then bomb the heck out of them there. But you got to keep in mind that in eastern Aleppo still you have 2 to 3 million people still inside. And, I talked to a lot of families that were coming out, and that's a story by itself, and the way families came out and the way, what kind of payments they had to make, the kind of struggles. But right now, the people who are living under the regime in eastern Syria, it's like there is no life. Of course, there is no electricity. There's no clean water. There's no hospitals. There are no. It's literally like you're living hell. You're living it, and on the top of that, you are under the regime that killed close to 2 million to whatever people. I don't believe at all when the numbers that are being given out, like 500,000. So, if you look at the reality, in 2014, I think it was March 14, 2014, when the UN actually stopped counting the dead inside Syria. So the numbers that they're giving us now, how real are they? I don't know. But when I talk to the people on the ground, people are giving me numbers like 3 million, 2.5 million. You know, when you say, oh, the number is 500,000, people are laughing, said 500,000, akhi, yani, this 60,000 were killed in the first 2 years of the revolt, or the first 6 months. And how the heck are you getting a 400,000 number? You have 500,000 orphans, 500,000 orphans. 80,000 are inside Turkey. You have 45,000, some widows. You have 100,000, some who are paralyzed, shot in ways that to make sure that they are paralyzed. You have, children, the injured are into millions. No one knows exact numbers, and we will not know until all of this thing, whenever it's over. So these are the borders, and this is, as far as giving
I think
some
people
details.
are familiar. Now, Shirazi, are you familiar with the White Helmets documentary?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
That's Aleppo, right? Is that what people?
That's Aleppo,
So
yes.
for people to
I've seen them live
contextualize-
working. Yes,
Okay.
I've seen them working live.
Yeah.
Someone came to me the other day and they said, "Brother, is this true?" People are saying blah blah. I have seen them in action. Yes, and the way it happened was I was coming out from one hospital. I was going into another hospital actually. So I was in a car. I was going. So I made a left turn. I remember it so well, man, because that was the first one of the few times where I took a left turn, and a missile hit a masjid on the right side. I turned around. I saw a missile came, boom, and it knocked half of the masjid out. So my car went like this, and it was on one of the corners. I told the brother, "Stop, man." The guy's like, "Dude, we need to get out of here." I said, "No, this is video."
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You're laughing about it, but it's for us. It's unimaginable, right?
My
my
wife
God.
complains about that. She said, "You need to stop laughing when you talk about these things because this is serious."
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that has happened to me psychologically is when I think about these things, I laugh, or you'll see a smile on my face.
Yeah.
And even there, you'll see the most horrible cases in front of you, and you have a smile. And I'm not. It's the only. What am I going to do? Sit there?
It's
and
like a
cry?
coping mechanism, right?
It is,
It's a
and
coping-
so my wife says, "Dude, stop doing that." And because for the person in front of you, that's not funny, and it's not anything. But it's not funny for me.
Yeah.
But it's what do you do? Anyway, so I told the brother, "Stop the car. I need to take this video." And then I made a video and I sent it right there, saying, "Brothers, this is what it feels." And it's actually on Facebook.
Well, and also you're looking for that moment too, that you need to show to your donors and whatnot that these real life events are happening because there's
Man, I even remember that missile, dude. Can you imagine that? I remember that exact size of the darn thing. When it came and it hit it. And then
How far away was it? About 100 yards, or?
I mean, I saw the missile coming. I saw it.
Wow.
It was because when it hit the masjid was probably, I don't know, a couple of 100 yards. I mean, it wasn't, obviously if I'm able to turn around and actually see the thing, so it wasn't that. But the issue of white helmets is when we took that turn, and then after brother said, "Yalla, let's go," because we don't know the next missile where it's going to hit. So when we kept going, the white helmets, they stopped us and they said, "Where was the missile? I know you saw it." I said, that way, and then they go with their small little fire engine thingy, and then they go right into where the bomb happens.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, right directly they'll go in there. And at that time, no one knew the white helmets, no one knew who these people are, and it was just a few brothers I remember just wearing their white thingies, and then they go in and they do their thing. So I've seen it, and to answer that question, the idea of who they are, I've seen them actually do that. And so when people ask me, I said, "Look, I've seen it, I've seen their work, and I've seen them in action."
I don't know if you know, but there's an active movement online with Muslims who are very big fans of Russian news, RT news. And they've come out in full force recently saying the chemical attack has been perpetrated by the rebels themselves, and the people that this whole conspiracy is within the rebels, and they're the ones who are actually causing this problem. And my discourse online for the past few days is just discussing back and forth with these guys. And Brother Shirazi, while we were in college, the Russians were in full force against Muslims all over the Caucasus areas and whatnot. The amount of
Chechnya and Central Asia in general.
Now we have Muslims defending Russian foreign policy. So talk about that and tell us about what is actually happening with the rebels. Are they making up these stories? Are they, is this all a fairy tale?
It's not even them really, because Trump's base is really pissed at him. Like the alt-right guys just jumped ship after the missiles. They were like, why would the regime bomb do this attack? They equated it like you're playing a football game and you're up 80-0 and you're throwing a Hail Mary, like a long pass still. They're like, he's like, their point was, I don't know, you can educate us a little bit on the political situation there. They're saying that the regime is winning. Why would they just arbitrarily, gas, these civilians, right? And that's why so there's a lot of that angle of like, well, all these conspiracy theories. And I'd like to comment on that, just what's really happening on the ground there, because there's so much noise in the system now.
First of all, to those Muslims or to any of those people who are saying that the regime did this or the rebels did this, it's an open invitation. Come with me to Idlib. I have no problem taking you there. Come with me. I mean, sitting around and talking and all of that is very good, nice and mashallah. It's an invitation. Look, here's the deal. I remember one time I gave a khutbah about Somalia when I came back from Somalia, from Mogadishu. And someone came to me and they said, brother, why don't you come with me 40 days, something like this, to somewhere else? I said, look, this is nice to talk about this, but you need to do this. And I said, okay, I'm willing to go with you to 40 days. Come with me to Mogadishu. 40 days, I'll go 80 days. No issue. The point is not 48. That's not what talking and, this is very cheap. And we don't have time for that. You wanna be sincere to what you're saying. No one is stopping you to go and see with your eyes what's going on. Right? I mean, you want to put together a coalition, go and, okay, come and see. They are inviting you. They themselves are saying, come and see with your eyes what we are seeing every single day. Who's gonna, tell me what I have seen in Aleppo, right? What I have felt in Aleppo. Are you going to come and deny to me barrel bombs? Are you going to do? Who the hell can do that? Come and tell. I'm sitting here. I'll tell you where I stay every day. Come and disprove to my eyes what I have seen with my eyes.
Right.
The killing of babies. I was in a hospital. They killed 60 kids of age of 12. I mentioned this last time. I don't know if you remember that. I was there. 60 kids under the age of 12 were slaughtered by a barrel bomb. I was there at the site. I saw the shuhada. I mean, they took me to the hospital, which was a high school, which was makeshift. It was a makeshift hospital because all the hospitals were bombed. And I was holding people, brother, I was holding one man. I remember that picture is online. If I was to let that brother go, he would split in two. You're going to deny that from me? You're going to come and say, oh, yeah, you guys are making this. Come on, man. Come on. This is an invitation from Islamic Oasis to you. You want to see the thousands and upon thousands of orphans? You want to come and see 45,000 widows and hear their stories? You want to hear families? I asked one brother, I said, Akhi, he works with one of the orphanages. Aitam Sham, very famous orphanage, and he helped those brothers. I said, tell me something about you, brother. We had breakfast 2 days in a row, and you want to talk. He said, Akhi, subhanallah, 11 people of his family members were killed. One day, the regime came in with their Shabiha. Shabiha came in and shot point blank, boom, 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 boom. They took him outside the house. They burned the house in front of him. This is what, so how do you disapprove that? Tell me. Yani, how do you disapprove the numbers? Even you're telling me UN says 500,000 numbers, huh? People, their number is 500,000. Who killed 500,000 people? The rebels killed 500,000 people? With what? Yani, some people, the other day, same kind of people come and talk to me. They say, oh, brother, how can it be that the rebels didn't? I said, where did they get the plans to bomb this? Yeah, tell me, because it happened from an airport that is in the hands of the regime. Who? Yani, how? Now, if somebody comes and tells me the allies that are with the Syrian regime might have done it in order to intervene, fine, I can believe that. But to blame the rebels whose children are there and whose families are suffering, all of that, yani, okay, that's one thing. The other thing, what I would really, yani, the Syrian, is this the first attack? This is not the first attack.
Oh, yeah.
Happened in 2013. Happened this morning. Yesterday, day before yesterday, I was talking to one of the doctors. He was in Washington, so I called him and I said, what's going on? Give me some of the details of what's taking place. The brother said, listen, Marath al-Nu'man, this is one of the hospitals, very well-known hospital, takes care of almost 30 to almost maybe even 70,000 people a year. You drop a bomb on the top of that. The rebels are going to do that too?
Yeah.
I mean, the hospital I was in, they dropped a barrel bomb on the right and then on the left and then in front of me. And people everywhere here, the brothers, they were all worried that because yani, it was the most severe bombing that Aleppo had ever seen, Sheikh. Yani, it was so severe, and it was because it was Geneva 2 going on and there was Geneva 3 going on. They were pressuring the people to accept the negotiation that was going on by the regime. So how do you, it doesn't make any sense.
Right. Sure, I hate to interrupt. I'm literally in awe right now. Anybody that knows me knows that I don't stay quiet for a very long time. I don't understand how people can say that it's fake when you see all of these innocent women and children.
Because they don't feel it, akhi.
I mean,
they don't feel the pain. Yeah, Sheikh, you are in a wheelchair. I'm sorry, I know the whole world knows that. You're in a wheelchair, sah? You're in a wheelchair.
Yes.
Yani, now, can I feel for you? I can't.
Yeah.
Be straight. Be real. Say, Shirazi, what the hell do you know about? Yani, I saw you 15 seconds, just said, you gave me, mashallah, your mom gave me some support. They said, here, take it and support the orphanages. And I took it. It was right there. And I'm an idiot because I don't realize you can't push that towards me. You told me, Akhi, can you take it? Because I cannot do that. That's a reality because I know you. I see you in front of me, Sheikh.
Yeah.
That's because I'm there. I'm watching you. I'm seeing you.
Most people are not going to take you up on your
So when you live in a darn bubble,
yeah,
right? When you live in a hole and you think, you're used to going to divan and eat biryani every single day of your life. Sure. And when you feel bad, you come and drop a $2, something in somebody's box and say, mashallah, tabarakallah. Or sometimes, you send something and you make a nice video. I do that too. I'm not saying I do that too. But this is what we live, akhi. And then, so it's very easy to just say, these people are making up this stuff. 500,000 is a made up number too. Children Al-Amal Hospital, Sheikh. Al-Amal Hospital, these are hospitals. I've seen people who have lost all of their limbs. Both arms and both legs. How do you live like that? What happened to you? Oh, barrel bomb. Yani, the whole world is going and they're going to, theorize and then they're going to say these are all whatever theories. Okay, maybe that is. Okay, let's say maybe that is. But millions of barrel bombs falling on cities, that's also a theory? Yani, can you see the picture of Aleppo? What you see now in eastern Halab, what you see of Hama, what you see of Homs, what you see of Al-Ghouta, eastern Ghouta right now, what you see of Idlib, all of that is what? Fake? People, they destroyed their own buildings too? Millions of them?
I think more than anything, people are trying to understand who did it, the motive. Right, going back to Sim's initial thing is trying. I'm not creating excuses. Subhanallah, I'm literally holding back tears right now. I'm not kidding. This is very difficult.
I understand that
because most people can't not even watch the videos. Some people go, I can't watch that, but I'll donate. People will see a video clip or article. they won't even look at the pictures because for them it's very difficult.
I think people need to start looking at that stuff. To be honest.
Sheikh, listen, children come to you. And whenever I go there, and this is something you'll see my wife observes, and every time I go there, you'll see babies, children, 4 years old, 5 years old, 6, 7. They come and they just hug me. And they don't let me go. People ask me, why do you keep going back? This is one of the motivations I have. They come and they hug me and they kiss me and they'll say, one kid will just stay here. He won't. When you talk to the sisters, they'll say, they have not felt the loving hand of their father, ever. When he was born, his father was already killed. When so-and-so was born, he only saw his father 2 days. He went to the market to go get milk, and market was attacked on purpose. Masajid were attacked on purpose. I saw a family came in. At that time when I was in Halab, Sheikh, I saw a family come in, of old man with his daughter and his mother, and the daughter is trying to figure out, with all of the bodies in front of them, trying to figure out which one is their brother or their 2 sons that were killed. So the moment they found out, I remember that, so I'm just watching, observing, and then the father turned around, and when she saw the body or the face of her brother, she screamed. The father turned around and says, Uskuti, shut up. Are you the only one? You think you're the only one? There are hundreds here. I saw that with my eyes. What do you do? The father went and killed his 2 sons too? What? Where is your mind? Where is your fear of Allah? How is it that you have to go through what? You have to prove. We should be shaking with the death of one human being, akhi. One person, Muslim or not, doesn't matter. Human being is human being for us. A dog, a cat, somebody killed unjustly. Allah Azza wa Jal is going to take us accountable. This is what the Muslims were. And here we are, trying to justify death of 500,000 people. You're worried about the Syrian. What about the rest? The rest doesn't matter? And this is a blame even to the Muslims. All of a sudden, Aleppo is going on. When the Aleppo thing happened, people are calling left and right, brother, blah, 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 blah. What's going on? Okay, it's been going on for the last 4 years, akhi. People called me and said, what is going on? 4 years later. How? And then I asked them, once you get sick of it sometimes, even say, how can you not know in an area, in a region of the world where 4, 2, 3 million people are being slaughtered, and you don't know? And then you create excuses for the oppressor rather than the oppressed. That shows the level the level of the hearts of the people, Sheikh. That's what it shows. It shows the reality, the corruption that has entered in the hearts of the people. That they are so, that you cannot anymore feel the screams of babies.
Wretched.
This is the level. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. They have hearts, but they don't see. They have eyes, but they can't see. They have ears, but they can't hear. These are the people Allah Azza wa Jalla is talking about. People like this, they see it live. Oh no, this is all a joke.
I would never dare to say that this is a joke or anything of that nature, but I fall under that very category you're talking about. That I didn't really know too much about what's going on, and I am to blame. I'm not going to say that and make excuses for myself, but realistically, most people, subhanAllah, I hate to say this, but would not be able or even willing to go with you on that journey. And like I said, we're having difficulty watching a videotape, let alone seeing it live. So I'm just talking as a layman.
The issue what we can do, first of all, get closer to Allah Azza wa Jal.
Inshallah.
Get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Understand who your Rabb is. Before I was going there, 1,000 people came and they said, brother, especially this time, Akhi, you see the situation with the immigrants. You see the situation, what's going on in the airports. You see what's going on here. You see what's going on there. Brother, don't go. This is not the time. Right, be here. Do your work. Just send some money there. Sheikh, and then I said, since when that human beings, the creation became razaq? They are the ones who provide? They provide? What Donald Trump provides? I said this in the khutbah yesterday. I gave a khutbah at Masjid al-Huda. I said to the people, I said, Subhanallah, akhi. You come and you say as if, they might send you, tell you, go back, don't come back. They might do this, they might do that. I said, listen, we believe in the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are Muslims. We do the work for the love of Allah Azza wa Jal. We are not, if we are doing this work just because it's humanitarian, it's this and this and this, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not in the category or in the equation, then believe me, you will get your ajr in this dunya and finish, it's over. Number one thing, Shaykh, we have to understand Allah is the one who's Razaq. People were trying to scare, don't, and subhanallah, am I sitting in front of you today? Sah? I'm sitting in front of you.
Yeah.
Who's the one that who's in control? This is a proof. Yes. At one point, in Turkey, for instance, you know, because I have to go through extra whatever it is. So I you know, they put you in a thing and it says, because one time they ran it says not allowed on the plane. That's what it said. So I told my wife I had 800 lira left in my pocket. I gave my wife 400 lira. I kept 400. And this, my wife said, do you realize what decision we had to make there? I said, you know, we do what we do, and then later on we talk about it. But she said, you said 400, and I told her, okay, I will go back to India. I've not seen India in 26 years, brothers. Mm-hmm. I said, I'm going to go back to India, and from there I'll start the work and I'll continue my work. Go back to US and you'll meet me there, wherever Allah gets us there. Wherever. Take my daughter, go, and let's just take our daughter and we'll meet. We waited. We waited 30 minutes, whatever it is. Then they said, go. And I know this is regular procedure for me. Every single time it happens, it's just, and I don't have any problems with it because I understand I work in a very sensitive area. And if a country is worried about its safety, I understand that. And I'm sure anyone that works in these areas have to go through these procedures, no problem. But this time it was sensitive, it was more close to us because what was happening in this country. Right?
With Donald Trump and
Trump and people are not allowed here in immigration and what. So, even my wife put something online saying that, you know, we're getting on the plane. If something happens, you know, you just come and make some noise. All of those things you keep in mind when you do the work. Anything is possible. But we are doing this work because we believe that there is Jannah. All of this we are doing because you want to smell the Jannah. You want to step into the Jannah. And you want to be, our work, our, you know, everything that we do, we want it to be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if Allah wants to test his slave, we are his slaves. But we do the work. What we are doing, we are trying to find ways not to do the work. And that's not acceptable, akhi. And brothers, that is just not acceptable. That's not the character of the Muslims. We are not like that. From the time we became like this, where we lost our objective, we lost why we do what we do, we lost our connection with Allah Azza wa Jal, with the Quran, we became like this.
Let me tell you what I did a few months ago, earlier on when the Mad Mamluks first started. I put up a post on Facebook, on our Facebook page, saying, you know, we should aspire to do more, to donate more money. If you're already donate more money. Make a goal that, you know, your entertainment value, how much you spend on entertainment a month, make that a goal for you. Like if you spend $100 on cable TV and movies and everything, make that at least so you can show to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with some face that you gave something during these excruciating times. And the response that I saw was very troubling. How dare you, brother? How dare you tell us how to spend our money? You shouldn't be the one who's telling us that. You don't know our situations. Well, obviously, if you have an extenuating situation, I'm not talking to you. But the reaction I saw, I literally had to delete the Facebook post because I was embarrassed that someone might see this kind of these characters talking about.
Here's the thing.
No, because we can tell people to pray more, okay? We can tell them to make dhikr more. Of course, everything's fine. So far, so good. People will keep listening, you know, mashallah. But the moment you say, hey, dig a little deeper in your wallet, that you're crossing the line, buddy. That's not acceptable.
Yeah. If I could just say one thing, I just think one thing Mahin had mentioned in the beginning of the podcast was the influence of your father. And I think growing up in America, you know, I saw my parents working hard just like your parents, but never the influence on doing work outside of your home. It was always been, you know, get good grades, get a good job, you know, get married and have children. But how many of us young parents take our children to places like Islamic Oasis and make them young volunteers and showing them how to work with our Muslim brothers and sisters? Yeah, money, alhamdulillah, there's no we don't have a shortage of that. We're all living very well, alhamdulillah. But I think I want to understand, what's the steps for people like me, someone that has young children, 8 and 3. You know, I want them to grow up to be someone like you, not only in working for the ummah, but not afraid to step out of your comfort zone, to do something for people that are not just you. And honestly, you know, I don't want to act like just because I'm in a wheelchair, I'm not going with you to Syria. To be realistic, even if I wasn't, I'm not sure if I would be going with you to Syria. I mean, I'm just being very honest, because I never grew up. You're
underestimating yourself, brother.
I just don't feel like I grew up in the sense where you think beyond yourself. It was hard enough to just take care of your extended family, right? People come over, you're like, oh man, these people are coming over. America is a very, very selfish culture in general. People don't even take care of their parents here, let alone, you know, people that are like underprivileged, you know? So I understand we're in a difficult state, but what advice can you give even just people in this, young parents now that are having kids that really do have passion? It's misguided. They don't know how to direct their energy because we do love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We all want to go to Jannah. And reality is that sometimes we just need someone to give us a little bit of guidance in that. So I'll leave it to you there, inshallah. Sorry to cut you off.
I want to chime in real quick too, just to add on to what Omer was saying, is that Shirazi, you're like one guy. I think even if we had 5% of the Muslim Chicagoland doing, like, just duplicated yourself to 5% of the population. I mean, I don't know if you got, like, I really want you to challenge our standards. Like, if you want to tell us you guys are wasting too much time watching sports or hanging out, y'all need to be like on the ground, like, you know what I mean? Because I'm looking at you like, bro, do you have hobbies? If you don't, that's cool. But like, challenge us, man, because if like, this situation ain't no joke. This is dire. Like, the proper mentality would be to like, listen, there's no time to like hang out and play games when the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is, you know, in the state it's in right now. So I wanted to, like, yeah, if we, like, Omer makes I love that point. Like, getting your kids, because we need to duplicate people like you.
They need to see it.
Yeah, and that's why they need, like, role models like you. You know, you're like one guy. Imagine if there's like 100 of you guys in Chicago.
Okay, you know, it's not about me, Sebastian. It's the work.
Of course.
And we have hundreds of millions of people like this. And the brothers and sisters who are working in Syria day and night, who have decided to stay in that country and working inside. These are people we can't even imagine. We're not even the dirt of their feet. Ya akhi, believe me. Jazakumullah khair for saying what you said. But subhanallah, they are people that, you know, you worry that we may not get our real state in Jannah. The kind of sacrifices these brothers doing. Look at Dr. Shahjul Islam, the one who's inside now, he's actually one of the Desi brothers there. Look at Tariq, brother Tariq. Look at brother. There's so many. There's a brother. There's a doctor, Omar Ibrahim. There are people. There's a doctor I know, Abu Muhammadin. He is inside now. I spoke to him yesterday. He's inside Idlib. I called him up. I said, how are you doing? Just tell me how you are. Because some people you get so close to. Believe me, if something happens to them, I will end up in a hospital somewhere. The way you get so attached that, if I hear that something happened to them, you might collapse. I know something will happen to me. In the sense that it's that, that shock. I called him and I talked to him. Where are you? He said, I'm in the hospital. He said, make dua for us. I said, believe me, don't, you're in our dua. And he said, we are in the most unsafe area right now because we are in the hospital that is being attacked. Right? This is supposed to be the safest place on earth. And here we are. And he said, we don't have ventilators. We don't have, the beds, and ICU beds are not there. And, there are doctors who are doing brain surgeries on the floor. There are kids who are being, they're doing surgeries on them without anesthesia. They tell them to read Quran. They tell them, read Quran, akhi. While the kids are reading Quran, you will see them doing some of the most major surgeries. It's unbelievable. Right? These are the people, they are our heroes. These are the people that we have to look up to. And these are the type of people, being around these type of people makes us who we are. I remember growing up in Hyderabad. Some of you, I think all of you are probably from Hyderabad, maybe some from Pakistan.
Mahin's from Bangladesh. Omer is Pakistani?
Yeah, I was born in America, but my family's from Pakistan.
I remember hiding on the roof when there were riots. There were major riots in 91, 92. I remember the Babri Masjid issue happened. So I remember my uncle said, everyone, your two sisters, at the time, sisters, were get up on the roof and stay on the roof. Take some rocks and some bricks and stay on the roof. If some people start to come in, throw rocks on them. This was the situation we grew up. We saw that. I saw the riots. I saw what happens when you are in a situation where you don't know what's going to happen. My dad wasn't there. My dad was in the village somewhere about 5 hours away from us. So we were hiding up there. Alhamdulillah, nothing happened, but somebody came to us and they said, here, we'll get you out of the curfew. They took us out of the old city into the new city. So I remember that every moment of that. Man, I remember what I was eating when the shooting started. They started shooting in an area called Gaulipura, and we were in Maghalpura and Shalibanda area. And subhanAllah, I remember when they started shooting. And the police was shooting up in the air, doom, doom, doom. And then you don't know what to do. I was eating fish. I remember that until now, subhanAllah. I don't forget certain moments in your life. You don't forget what you were even eating. Those are the moments that shows I know what it feels to be in those situations.
Sure.
So now, when we see somebody in front of you in that situation, you don't have to, it's like natural response. It's just you want to help. You want to do whatever it takes.
And I'm not trying to create excuses. I know I'm sounding like I'm arguing you're not right. But most of us never grew up like that. Most of us didn't have those experiences. The biggest tragedy that we would have is, maybe our bike is not working or something like that, or our basketball went flat when we want to go play basketball. So a lot of us really don't, have those experiences. Even that as a young child that you experience, that drives a lot of how you think as you grow up. And I feel like, like I mentioned earlier, not many people are going to be able to just turn on that switch, right? All of a sudden we're going to go and we're going to just forget everything that we've known, because the sacrifice for us here is very different than how you would define a sacrifice maybe anywhere else in the Muslim world. So, so for those individuals that want to work with Islamic Oasis, and that, not all the Sahaba were Khalid bin Walid, right? So, subhanAllah, how would you...
None of us are.
Yeah.
Not here.
The willingness to go out there and really just, put it all on the line. What would you tell them? What would you say to them?
Look, Sheikh, at the end of the day, you are what you have in your mind. So your concepts, your understanding of things. There's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ said, when you wake up in the morning and if you don't feel for the affairs of the ummah, you don't care about the affairs of the ummah, then you're not from us. Right? Umar ibn Khattab, an example here, never went through what maybe Ka'b went through. As a Sahabi. He did not go through what Bilal radiallahu anhu went through. Umar ibn Khattab used to come to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah, sometimes he would see Rasulullah crying and Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu crying, and he would say, tell me why you're crying and I will cry, and if I don't cry, I'll make myself cry. And that's the issue here. Of course, you don't have to, we pray to Allah Azza wa Jal, we don't have to go through what the Muslims in Sham are going through. We don't pray for that kind of, that type of testing, because they're going through tests. But you need to. We don't have a choice. As a Muslim, we have to ask, what is it that I need to make myself to understand what they are going through? This is part of Iman. This is our Aqidah needs to push us to understand. You said, I'm sure, I never asked all the details about the life of my dad, for instance. But the issues, some of the things, the simple thing of just eating during the time of Eid, and just the situation on TV, watching the buzz, and just for him to tell us, hey, look at what's happening. Those small little things. But that makes you, sensitive to the ummah situation. So as a parent, this is what we can do to our kids, is to keep reminding them that today you can eat and drink, and this is from Allah. And Allah could have given the same thing to the other one, but Allah decided to test this one and give this one. And Allah can change the situation.
But what kind of culture in a household would you recommend though? What do you tell? Let's just use you and you have a daughter, right? And what kind of culture do you create in your household that nurtures a concern for the greater body of Muslims or humanity in general?
This is the role of the mothers, akhi.
Yeah.
Man can't do that. Believe me, sometimes I'm so busy. That, the only thing I hear complaining in the house, I'm here after a whole day of things and I'm here and I'm supposed to be, at home. It's the mother. Believe me. You hear these things that, like when you hear about Sahaba and all of this is the mother, Bukhari, the mother, all of them is mother. Even when Khalid bin Walid passed away, Umar al-Khattab, he said, no mother will give birth to a man like this again, like Abu Sulaiman, for instance.
Right.
The role of the mothers. Believe me, man, it's amazing what women are capable of doing. I see that with my wife. May Allah have mercy on her. May Allah keep her strong. May Allah make my daughter like her. This is my dua. Is because it's amazing because of her support. That how many wives will tell you, ya Allah, go back to Syria. If, how many times, even to the point in entering Idlib, for instance, we were not able to, but we were asking, NGOs, if you are able to allow me to work inside, here's my name, let's put the name on the list. Whenever the government allows, I'm willing to go in. I put my name on there. And she said, you need to, and she put her name on. She said, yeah, we will both, we are ready. Because why? She has a master's in social work. And I have a master's in disaster management. There are skills that we have that we can offer to the hospitals because they need it. And I said, what about my daughter? She says, well, the rest are not. Man, it's amazing. So I said, khalas, I don't have an argument. Let's go. You're already in a situation. You're constantly thinking, things are happening in front of you. So the point is, how do you create that culture? Marry the right woman. Marry the right woman. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Before I married my wife, wallah shaykh, I made istikhara 20 times. I remember. 20 different times I made istikhara. And I made so much dua. Oh Allah, I did not ask for anything else other than Ya Rabb. I don't want to marry someone that is going to become a hurdle for me in da'wah. And I said that to my wife on the day. Ask her. On the day of the marriage, ya akhi, wallah al-azim, on the night, I told her, keep something in mind. This da'wah is, this Islam, these things are more important to me than anything in my life. And subhanallah, she was the same way. She studied under Ahmed Didat. And she is, and subhanallah, and she is doing, I can see, the culturing of my daughter is also the same way. I don't tell, a lot of when I came, just a few days came back, I met one of the brothers yesterday. He was telling me, man, why did you take your daughter? Do you want her to see these things? You really think she's going to learn something? So I told him, I said, why don't you go and have a conversation with her? I'm confident enough, even though she's 8 years old, she will have a type of conversation with him that you can't have with an 18-year-old here. Believe me, I said, why don't you go and ask her that question and ask her, what did she learn when she met with children who don't have parents anymore? How did you feel when you were giving candy to all these children, these kids?
And I know, there's a lot of parents out there who, not every kid is the same. Their children can't handle the video of a Syrian, the White Helmets documentary. That's pretty mild. If you saw that documentary, it's pretty mild relative to, or compared to what you see out there on YouTube and, the various war footage that you see, or that is available. But every parent has to be the judge of their child and whether they can handle that, And
I agree with that, and I understand that. But Sheikh, there is a the point here is look, my daughter is watching us, the decisions that we make, right? And there's a lot of conversations that take place before every decision, and she's listening to that. And sometimes I feel bad that she has to be in She's not talking about, Mickey Mouse and something else. She's talking about we're making these type of decisions. This is what we're talking about constantly. Because remember, even from 7 in the morning to in the evening, and because we are in constant contacts, phone calls coming in from Rehania, from this, from there. Hey, this is what's happening. Can you do this? Sometimes people call us, doctors call us and say, can you update this? Because no one else will do it.
Right.
And we update it. We say, we got just information from such and such. And in the beginning, like when the attack happened the other day, when we asked information, they told us, the army is using the same base to send out, the attack that took place this morning.
Yeah.
When I put that out there was a response. People are like, this guy's crazy. And then when ABC and everybody else said, oh, you know what? The attack that happened this morning happened from the same air. But everybody's like, oh, okay. We put that information up because the doctors are saying, let the people know this is a joke.
Yeah.
Shooting missiles in the middle of nowhere. So the point is, as far as our children are concerned, we are an ummah, brothers, we are an ummah that needs change. Okay? No ummah is suffering the way we are suffering. No nation on earth right now is, the other day a brother came to me and he said, here's the picture. I said, what's the picture about? He said, we were sitting in Tahura. I went to grab some tea. Sometimes I have to drink tea too, I guess. I do my entertainment things. This is my habit, is tea. And I went in there and the brother stopped me. He said, he's a refugee brother. So he stopped me and he said, here's the picture. I said, what happened? He said, they burnt my father alive in the masjid today. And they sent me the picture. My family sent me the picture. Here, I'm talking about Chicago. 40 minutes from where this interview is taking place right now. So what am I supposed to say? Brother, don't show me that picture. How dare you? I came here to grab some tea, man. Come on, man. You're killing my day. Idiot. Because you hear that. I hear that sometimes after the khutbah. Brother, do you not have anything else to talk about? What you want me to talk about, man? How to make wudu? How to sleep with your wife? I can do that too. Fiqh love? How? I'm talking about what families of the refugees are going through here. And then he showed me the picture of him alive. I have it on my phone if you want to see it. I actually have it. I'll show it to you guys before. Here's my father when he was alive, and the burnt body of him, they sent it to me. I went back and I talked to my wife and I talked to my father-in-law and said, man, I don't even know what to do. Sometimes it's just like, what the heck? 2 days later, we have a family. Because you see, when you're working in these zones and we're working with the refugees here, I feel I get it from there and I get it from here. We have a family, Abu Ahmed, his family. 2 of her brothers were killed in a regime attack that happened in Bir al-Bam, and she comes and she takes ESL from at the center, and she was talking, and the teacher who's teaching, he says, some of you guys don't seem to be okay today. What's going on? And the sister just broke down and said, 2 of my brothers were killed today. This is Chicago, akhi. Ikhwan, I'm not talking about, this is a story from Rehani. Chicago. What do you say to them? You see, the point I'm trying to make here is I'm not telling you guys to go to Syria to feel the pain. How many of you came and talked to one refugee for the last 10 months? Tell me, man, which one of you did that? Come and say, let me sit down and see. I've heard there's napalm bombs. I've heard there's sarin bombs. I've heard all kinds of bombing taking place. And I know there's 1,500 or so Syrian families here. Can somebody tell me, are your families okay? Because many of you are from Idlib. Many of you are from Halab. Many of you are from Sarmada, from Allah knows what part of Syria. How are your families? You don't give a damn. But you come to Divan and you eat every type of food that you can think of. This is what I'm talking about. This is what has happened to us. Everything is fake. Nobody wants to feel nothing. And when somebody reminds you, oh, here we go again. Oh, Brother Shirazi can give us I've heard that too. I've heard it. Oh, here we go. And now he's going to talk about some, But you're going to live that somebody's going to ask you that question on the day of judgment. When people live 40 minutes, half an hour away from these places, and they don't have the nerve, they don't have even just to come and we have orphans at our place, Sheikh. We have orphans. Those Allah has given them tawfiq, they will drive 2 hours to come and say, Sheikh, let me just put my hands on your head because what the Prophet ﷺ said. And people might live 2 minutes away and they will never come. This is the issue. You don't have to take your children, Sheikh. You don't have to take your children and your parents and your whatever to all the way up to Turkey and Syria. 40 minutes away. There's so much pain and there's so much suffering that you can't imagine. I came back from Somalia. Look at the Muslims, Sheikh. I came back from Somalia. I gave a khutbah. After the khutbah, somebody came and said, brother, can you come to such and such place and give a talk? I went and I gave a talk. One brother came to me and said, brother, you're feeling a lot for black people nowadays. I asked him a question. I said, what will you answer to Bilal, akhi? On the day of judgment, when you stand in front of Bilal radiallahu anh, what will you answer to Bilal radiallahu anh? How can you say that? This is what has happened to us. And believe me, لِمَا تَقُولُونَ مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ كَبُرَ مَقْتًا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَن تَقُولُوا مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ. Allah hates those people when they say something they don't do. And Allah will turn it around on them. Tables, brothers from Syria, I remember till now, they never ever thought. One family was talking to me and they said to me, brother, people come now, they give us used clothes. They send us all the way from America. Wallah al-Azim, I'll tell you, when I went last time, they said somebody sent 3 trucks of the garbage that they don't want their children to wear. They send them to the orphans. And they think they're going to walk with Rasul Sallallahu like this. I took care of some orphans. The junk that you don't want to wear, you send it there. The orphan organizations spend their money that they can spend on the orphans so they can take your clothes. They send them inside and people inside were saying, this is coming from the West. People, this is what? The West? Our own people, the next door, my neighbor living in a tent does not do that to me. You're sending to the West. Yani, we sit here, subhanAllah, if I ask you for a pop, I can get 5 different pops here. This is our situation, Sheikh. This is what I'm talking about. Get out of that hole. Come, work. Believe me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just from that work, Allah will put barakah in your time and build your families. This is what I'm talking about that's missing here. Wallah al-Azim, it's missing here. People have forgotten pain, how to even feel pain. But that turns around. And this is the point that I wanted to make here. The family told me, when the clothing comes and they give us clothing, a Syrian family was telling me there. She goes, we used to, when the Palestinian situation was going on, many Palestinians moved into Halab area and that, we used to give them clothes of our used clothes. To them. We never thought it will come to us. Look at us today. And this is the warning I want to give to the brothers and sisters who are living here so comfortably, without even a moment of thought. Rather, they will give excuses to the oppressors. This is a warning. And take heed. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah creates hujjah for you before He brings the test to you. And I'm sorry I'm being like this.
No.
But I need to be real, brothers. When you said there's so many people will listen to this, I want them to listen.
I hope.
And not just that. I want the brothers from Syria to listen to what I'm saying. I want the brothers from Turkey and the brothers who are, because when they hear me talking, it gives them, I'm their word. Ya akhi, I'm their tongue. A lot of the people, and my wife sometimes she says, say what you need to say and say it right. Because you're the tongue from their stories cannot be told. Who's going to tell their story? RT is going to say it. CNN is going to say it. ABC is going to say it. Who's going to say their stories? We've seen it with our eyes. You are their tongue. Nobody who prays. Ya Sheikh, subhanAllah, for the half an hour, brothers said you, mashallah, brother Shirazi, blah, 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 blah. None of that, all that garbage. There are people, they have given everything, the best of what they have. Not a second of recognition. But for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why I mentioned name Abu Muhammadin. This is why I mentioned name so and so, so and so, so and so. Why? Because these are the people who are doing the work. They could be millionaires here. These guys are doctors of you cannot imagine the kind. Yani, the doctors of Sham will be the best doctors ever produced. They have done surgeries you cannot imagine. I know a doctor, 15,000 surgeries. I met with him a day before I left Turkey. 15,000 surgeries. The guy is 28 years old. I'm sitting in front of you, 37 years old. This is what I'm talking about. Using your skills, give your time. And alhamdulillah, those Allah has given tawfiq and the means, they're doctors who are coming, mashallah. When I was there were a few doctors who came. They are from here, mashallah. One brother originally from Iraq, but from US, he's mashallah. Came another brother from Palestine, originally from Palestine. From here, he came, mashallah. They were doing surgeries. Every half an hour, they were in surgery room. So people are doing their best, and we are. But I just want you to understand that yani, you don't have to go too far to understand the pain of your brother or your sister.
So for everyone here in Chicago, what's our next? What would you, if you say there's one step, next step, because everything's a process, right? We're living in this bubble. We're dead. On our first podcast with you a year ago, you says if you don't have these feelings, you're basically dead. You're dead corpse walking, right?
Yes.
You recall that?
Yes.
It's going to be a process to get people out of this dead state into an alive state. What's the first step for them, for everyone here? Come to your, like, is the center always open? Like, how can we start this process?
Even if I can add something before you answer that, I'm sorry. I really hope that people are still listening. And I'll tell you why. It's because we live in this culture that as soon as somebody points out something we're not doing correctly, we turn it off. We don't want people to tell us what we're doing wrong. That's why we get those reactions after your khutbahs. I really do hope that, inshallah, that everybody had a chance to listen to that. Because the reason all the three of us are just sitting here quietly is because we're reflecting on everything you just said. And you asked us a simple question, which one of us came out? And none of us answered. And there was a reason. It was not because we were shy. We have microphones in front of our mouths. It's because we didn't make that effort. And the reality is, I really hope that the one thing is that this generation has a problem with, in general, including myself, is we can't be corrected by anybody. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me I'm wrong. I have a wife. I have kids. I'm doing my best. Who are you to tell me I'm a bad Muslim? And realistically, that's something that we need. Self-reflection is something that we just lost. And I'm talking about myself more than anything else. I'm not talking about anybody else. So, I just wanted to make that point. Inshallah, I think the first step, Mahin, the reason I'm saying is we have to listen. We have to reflect. Otherwise, no one's going to come to Islamic Oasis or any other organization. They're just going to, forward through this part, or maybe even people just turn it off because they feel like, who's this guy telling me that I did something wrong? So I think, inshallah, hopefully the message was delivered. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No. Allah Jazakallah khair. Look, this is not the issue of being a good Muslim or bad. This is not what the issue is. No one has the right to tell anyone how good of a Muslim so and so on. This is not, we don't have that right, period. What we are saying is the rights, the responsibilities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put on us, fulfill them. You said, okay, let's talk about what are the steps. Sheikh, the number one step is to feel that pain. Number one, you can come to Islamic Oasis 100 times. Believe me. And there are people who'll come. I've seen that happen. Brothers come, families come. They'll sit separated somewhere in the corner over there because they don't know how to mingle with such a population. They don't know. Subhanallah, it's unbelievable because they've never felt that kind of situation. People come and say, oh man, my kids, the only thing they know is, they cry because they don't get a video game or they don't get to watch this. They're so such and such. And then they don't know how to even mingle with a kid who just came from such, they don't, forget about the child. The parents don't know. You have to go to them and say, brothers, sister, can you sit there? Go and ask. Talk. Here, a cup of tea. Offer them a cup of tea. Sit with them. Ask them. People will come and they'll take pictures, all kinds of stuff, then they'll share it on their Facebook and all, whatever it is, as if they're a bunch of it's like animals or something. Come, ask, talk. That's how you will know. That's how you will see that, look, what kind of, I don't want to make it look like you need to suffer in order to know pain. You need to, if you're not suffering, suffer, somehow create a situation where you suffer. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the things that make, why do you feel pain? Why do you feel pain? Or do you even feel pain anymore? What makes you hurt? What is it that what somebody slap you, it hurts somebody? Then when you put yourself in their shoes in a way, and I guess that's what I'm trying to say. That's the first thing, is to make yourself understand what's happening. Understand, be aware, awareness. Be aware, and awareness will create that sensitivity that you're talking about.
Yeah.
If you're aware, be aware of what happened to the person in front of you, then you will reflect. After all, you are a human being. And what's missing in us is that awareness. You ask a child, you ask people, do you know what's happening in Sham? They say, where is Sham? You ask about, do you know where is Somalia? I don't know where Somalia is. This is what I'm talking about, right? Awareness, being aware. And this is where that hadith of the Prophet ﷺ comes in, is that when you wake up in the morning and you don't care about the affairs of the ummah, what does that mean? Be aware of what's happening to your brothers and sisters, human beings. Number one issue. That awareness itself will make you move out of your chair.
And I think as Muslims, we should understand. So this week, after the chemical attacks, I shared the news with some of my coworkers, and they immediately reacted. They started donating to SAMS and to other organizations, and because it's it appealed to their humanity, what they saw, and I said,
part of the awareness.
Yes, and I showed them the videos. Like, listen, I'm sending you these videos. I'm telling you in advance, it's graphic. It's up to you. They watched it. They're like, I'm sharing it too, because people need to see this. We're in this bubble.
Yes. Okay, that's one thing. But let me, we are in a bubble. Some of us are in a bubble. And when you go to the south side, the brothers and sisters in that area are not in a bubble. Right? You see what I'm saying? Even in this country that we live in, we have created bubbles for ourselves. Man, it was amazing. When I was coming to your place, I felt like I'm in a different country. Coming from city. Literally, and I said, Alhamdulillah, I don't live here. Wallah al-Azim, I'm sorry, I'm amazing. MashaAllah, may Allah increase it for you.
We're selling it now. That's it.
No, MashaAllah. No, Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alamin. No, it was like, man, I can't, there's no way I can, you live so far away from what everything is happening.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I was like, so this is the issue. You go to the south side. Look at what.
Look, man, the south side scares us, though. You gotta be real, right?
Yeah.
We grew up in the suburbs. I usually just drive in, do my business in the city, and drive out. We don't know how to communicate with the locals over there,
Sheikh, but where is our Islam?
You're safer in the south side than you are in the suburbs, to be honest. I think as Muslims, you're safer there.
No, there is a lot of respect for the Muslims in the inner city, of course. There's no question about it. But what I'm saying is that even here we live in a type of, their communities live in certain bubbles that they've created for themselves. You ask an African American, you don't have to talk to them about Syria. We're like, it's in our home. Every single day, man. We walk out on the streets. We don't know if our kids will come back home alive. Is that a fact or no? It's something you know. There's parts in the inner city. It's a whole country by itself. There's a war taking place. And with whether they're gangs, whether drugs, whether what's happening with the police, what's happening with all of these issues, people are going through it. So it's, there's a lot of work to do. And you just said something. You said, I go in there and I get out. But as a Muslim, can we do that anymore? As a Muslim, this is the this is the issue, brother, is that as a Muslim, we can't do that. I can't turn my face around. I see tragedy. I see oppression. I see all of this. I can't turn my face around. This is what makes us Muslim and different from the rest of the world and the rest of the ummah. You can't.
Yeah.
If you want to turn your face around, then you're not part of this ummah. You don't have that luxury. You know, you don't have that luxury not to understand what's happening in Syria and Iraq and Afghanistan and this and this and this and this. You don't. And people say, don't talk about Mosul, for instance. Yeah. Right? How many people are scared to talk about Mosul? Why?
Muslims of Iraq, yeah.
Yeah, Muslims of Iraq. Oh, no. How many bombs the United States has dropped on there?
Thousands.
Just weeks ago, 200 people killed. Yeah. How many? 1,000 people killed in 1 month.
Right. So, they're running out of missiles. It's to that at that level.
But people say, brother, I gave a khutbah and I said, listen, the issue is not who's controlling who's. The issue here is, even in the way we feel pain for people, it's like I will feel the pain for the Syrians, but not for the Muslims in Mosul. You look at, subhanallah, man, look at what happened to us. But I said to some
because just for the listener, the Mosul is occupied by ISIS, so that's what the frame of reference.
I mean, we're talking about the pain and the suffering of the people there,
right?
And but people don't want to even talk about it, don't even discuss it, don't even mention it, don't think about how many bombs have fallen on Mosul. Don't talk about Raqqa. I made dua yesterday for Raqqa, for Mosul, for these people. People are like, is this guy crazy? What's wrong with him? I said, brother, we are talking about kids, their babies there. Their kids. When the bomb happened, it fell on a building that was holding 250 children, kids, families, mothers, women. How do we build those standards?
Because, here's one level of hypocrisy that is within, the liberal narrative that is within Muslims over here in this country is that, they talk about empathy a lot, right? Empathy with, people who are less fortunate than you and having empathy with anyone who is being oppressed. But when it's not politically correct to be empathetic towards the people of Mosul, and we're talking about the people of Mosul, not ISIS.
No,
okay?
We're talking about human beings being slaughtered.
We're talking about children. But because it's not politically correct to talk about those areas, then we're only then just talking about what's politically convenient to condemn or to empathize with.
Non-Muslims are talking about.
Yeah, but us Muslims aren't though.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I asked you a question, right? I said, where is our Islam? Islam, Sheikh, it builds humanity. People have this definition of what humanity means. People have this definition of being smart means. People have this definition of being. How can your humanity allow you to see that kind of destruction and not say something? Allah Azza wa Jal, He said, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ. A lot of brothers, we just talk about that and we say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said Allah created you human beings, and then you deny Allah Azza wa Jal, and even animals don't deny it, so you're lower than the animals if you deny Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you human beings so you can reflect, you can see, you have two eyes, you can see that things that animals cannot reflect and think about. And here, this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the moment you can't do that anymore, you won't do that, you will deny that, you're worse than animal. Because this is it. This is what I'm saying. The issue of, a Muslim in Gujarat living there, if he now slaughters a cow, is 10 years in jail. Yes or no? 10 years in jail for slaughtering a cow. You don't have to mention that, brother. Why, ya Sheikh? Our life as a Muslim is less than a worth of a cow. A cow's life is worth more than my brother that was killed the other day in UP. Older man who was a farmer, they killed him. But why not? So we have made up our things. We want to talk about what makes we are people, man. We talk about still the issues that will keep us comfortable. We are talking about Syria and this now because still talking about it is not a problem. That's not what Islam is about. Musa alayhi salam was sent to Fir'aun even though it was a problem. It didn't matter. Yes, it's a problem, but you need to go to Fir'aun. That's what matters. Even if you're one. You and your brother. You need your brother because you can't talk? Go. 2 people, enough. You need to go to Fir'aun and you need to talk to that whole nation. Not only Fir'aun, but his army. This is what Islam is. And that's what made us just. That is justice, man. That you can say, you are just. You will say things the way it is. And that's what made us a unique nation. We were not a nation that we only spoke about things that are when it's feasible. No, even if it was not. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, talk, to be just, even if it's against you. Yes or no? We say it all the time in Jum'ahs. Every time the ulama, the shuyukh, the imams, the khutab, they talk about this. The problem, what I'm saying, we don't know our Islam. We learned the Islam that is, a feasible, what fits our way of life, not Islamic way of life.
Well, what's in our comfort zone?
That's it. That's what I'm saying. Our way of life.
Yeah.
Islam revolves around.
We didn't take Islamic way of life.
Yeah.
We didn't. Is this Islam? Does it fit my way of life? If it does, then fine. This is what we want. But that's not what Islam is. And until and unless we go back to that Islam of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the issues that you are talking about, how do I make my child understand what's happening? How do I make my sister understand what's happening? How do I make my neighbor understand what's happening? It will never come, and it will never bear real fruits until you talk real Islam, you live real Islam, you live real Islam.
Yeah. Shirazi, before we wrap up, at the end of the day, what do the people on the ground in Syria want? What do they want? What do you feel is the most pragmatic solution?
Islam. There's no such thing as pragmatic solution and this and solution, that solution, Sheikh. Look, man.
No, I mean,
in terms of
he's talking about a no-fly zone.
Regime. Do they want a no-fly zone?
Look, they are never going to create a no-fly zone. Never. You have to understand what's happening now in Sham. And you have to understand what's happening in general now in the Muslim world. Muslim world is no longer the same Muslim world that we knew of. Because a lot of the times the Muslim world that we know of is we go to our Umrah, we stay there about 10 days and we do, our thing in the Kaaba, go around a couple of times, and then we buy our nice atar in the nice, expensive places. And then we come back and mashallah, tabarakallah. This is the Islam, this is the Muslim world we know. Yes or no? I'm being real. Whatever, because you guys said be real.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Right? And then we go, and then this is what we feel, and then, mashallah, my legs were hurting. I made so many umrahs and so many. Mashallah, tabarakallah, may Allah give you more. When the situation started in Syria, Sheikh, when it started, the Muslims in Syria thought that, after 60,000 people are killed within the first 2 years or whatever it is, you're going to have, the West is going to come for us. Many people, they're going to come. The humanitarians are going to come and say, what the heck are you doing? You're killing peaceful protesters. 60,000 you killed like this. What the heck? Then when no one came, and it was a eye opener, for the people living there. That, no one. Why? Because, in the beginning, they called for democracy. They called for such and such. They were calling for this and that, whatever. They were calling for all kinds of solutions. They thought by saying these things, maybe the West will come, maybe so and so will come. Nobody came. Let them be slaughtered. Even democracy, when they called for democracy, nobody came. No one came. They learned that now, okay, you know what? Forget about all of this. Let's call for what you and I actually believe. We did all of that. Didn't work. Let's call for what you and I actually believe. The issue is in Sham, because the people of Sham they have taken a principled stand. They have taken a principled stand. And this is why, whether it's the West or whether it's the rest, whoever is going after them and gassing their children and dropping barrel bombs on them and sawarikh, and missiles on them and all kinds of stuff on them. Why? Because they have taken a principled stand that they want, number one, they want to be free according to the definition of Islam. And that's what's scaring the rest of the world. Is that a free nation who is willing to, who has its future, it's in own hands, not somebody else. And this is what is going to happen. They are not going to allow, anybody else to come and just tell them what to do. They're not gonna accept a face change. No, this is going to be a complete structural change for the Muslim world. It may take long. It may be bloody. It may take another 10 whatever years. It could. But this change that they're talking about is going to be, this type of change takes this kind of effort and sacrifices. Because we're looking at, inshallah, bi'iznillahi ta'ala, I think right now in the Muslim world, we are looking at a complete new dynamics. We, and alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, brothers and sisters, whoever, all those who are listening, we are living in amazing times. We used to pray. I know the brothers, we used to talk about, man, what the Muslim world is dead and blah, blah, blah. Look at today, subhanallah. We are inspired by the sacrifices and the will for Muslims to stand up for what they believe. Either we will be part of that change or we will be, just watch. But there is a day of judgment. Those who are watching will also be judged, and those who are playing the game will also be judged.
We, as the Mad Mamluks, we will definitely come out to Islamic Oasis and be a force for change in that area, inshallah. We did come out a couple times, but your place was closed. Just for the record. And
just for our listeners, what's the website? It's IslamicOasis.org or .com?
.org.
.org, okay. And then you guys are on Facebook as well. You can certainly get the updates. Jazakallah khair, Shirazi, for
Jazakallah khairan for the opportunity, brothers. Wallahi, this, as I said, what you're doing is actually giving a voice to the voiceless. It's not me talking. I know I'm passionate about what I say because I believe in what I say. And you're giving a voice to those people who will never get this chance. And I remember I was in Rehaniya, and the director of one of the orphanages, he received a call from one of his best friends from inside. He said, they just dropped a bomb on us. My whole family is under the rubble. I'm the only one alive, so I'm calling you to say my last salams. And the brother started crying right in front of us. We were just drinking tea. So you are the voice to such people, those brothers and sisters of ours who we may not even know existed. Jazakumullahu khairan.
Welcome. So, for our listeners out there, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can email us at themadmamluks@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter, like our Facebook page. We are on iTunes. You can give us a 5-star rating there and subscribe. And for you Android folks, we are on Podcast Addict. For our special guest, Muhammed Shirazi, and my co-hosts, Omer Zaman and Sim, this is Mahin signing off for the Mad Mamluks. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.